Welcome to Conversations with Cheryl Weston. Tonight's program, our special guest will be Mr. Preston Love, and we're going to be talking about several issues that are moving along right now. We're going to talk about the local elections coming up, as well as we want to talk about some incidents at public and in private housing. Um, and then we want to talk about the Nebraska Commission on African American Affairs. So we all know who Preston Love is, so we're not going to go into that. We want to have as much time as possible to visit with Mr. Love. And let's see if he is signing on. So I think, well, there he is. At least we've got him up, his picture. Um, there you go. Hey, how you doing today? Are you unmuted?
I'm joining.
Um, he's really technical savvy. Okay. Well, anyway, we finally got Preston, and as I've explained to our audience, we're going to be talking about several issues. We want to begin with local issues, or local elections. And so, everyone knows that Preston has been involved in the political process for some time. Um, Locally as well as nationally, having ran campaigns for various individuals. So, but I wanted to address what's happening here locally now. We're 2024 is gone and it's done, and we've got to move forward in 2025. And our upcoming primary, which one thing I hope you'll touch on, Preston, is the importance of people voting in the primary. They got to understand we got to get out and vote in the primary. But I would like to ask you, why do you think it's important for all registered voters to participate in this local electoral process, regardless of what district they're in? We're not going to focus on whether you're North Omaha or District 2 or 3 or 4, but just in the process itself. Why do you think it's important, or is it important?
Well, I surely appreciate that question, and it is important. If I could be more specific, it's only important to a community for its community to vote if the community has the sense to understand that uh, so much is at stake. And
Mhm.
the more local it is, the more at stake it is. We surely wish it was or wish it wasn't on the national level, but we don't have much of effect, and it does affect our lives, but it's a trickle down, if you will. When we talk about local elections, we're talking about anything from the potholes outside your street to economic development, your housing situation, healthcare access. Those are all local issues. And what's important for us to hammer to our community is we've got to participate uh, in who is making decisions, else we are just the recipients of the decision. That's not good thinking. I will asterisk my comments, uh, Ms. Weston, by saying I really have apathy for our community, and you were said not just North Omaha,
Mhm.
but just a moment on North Omaha. It is more difficult for participation and involvement in a poverty-stricken community because their focus is overwhelmed by just survival. But there's almost a flip-flop of that. That's when we should be most active. And so
Exactly.
that's why we need more active representatives because their constituencies are overpowered by life struggles. But the bigger picture that you raise about participation, uh, some some parts of the city get it, and some parts
Mm-hmm.
get it. And I think we get it, but we're not participating. If I could just take 1 second with you,
Mm-hmm.
and this your question deals with the primary. It applies to both the primary and the general. But I want to just read a number of real quickly. I'm not going to read the whole page, but and in the 24 general election, the turnout was around 75% for Douglas County. And so
Okay.
if you go down the list, if you think of the city council,
Mm-hmm.
you should think of them being wards. So there's seven city councilmen.
Correct.
Uh, and so each one of them represent an area, if you
Correct.
will.
Mm-hmm.
And so uh, if you, North Omaha's Ward 2, uh, kind of the bigger North Omaha includes Ward 1. Festerson is the city council person. And then all of the other wards, you know, are
Mm-hmm.
spread around the city. But I want to just tantalize you with this number. So the overall turnout for the city was 74%,
Mm-hmm.
75 or so. And so let me just read you uh, the percentage. 83% in one part of our, way over the average. 78% over the average. 82%. These are different wards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting from the bottom working up, but I'm not calling all the numbers out. 79% is another. 63% pretty much South Omaha. 72% uh, in another part. All right, here we go. North Omaha, 56. And then 74 in the last one. So we're not holding up our end. I
Mm-hmm.
I used to be real critical. I am still critical, but critical for another reason.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that is, I understand that maybe some people have given up, have been beaten down so much, they don't think the system cares about them, and the system keeps sending us messages that they don't. But we have the responsibility, your viewers have the responsibility of really making sure our community gets shaken
Mm-hmm.
and understand just give us an hour during election time. Yeah, we try to provide all the help. People now can get their ballots sent to their house.
Right.
We can pick them up, take them to a poll, but we've got to overcome the slice. There's a couple slices in our community where uh, the registered voters are not handling their business, uh, and I can understand why. But the rest of the slices, we need to do better.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, but I think it's time that we have to call this out as it
Yeah.
is. Part of your problem when you're trying to struggle, you say you have so many of these other things on your mind and you're trying to struggle to handle that. You're in poverty. This is why we need to teach and educate and stress how important your vote is. Because even if you look and say only 56% turned out for, and we'll use North Omaha as it is, they're counting on that. But what
Yes.
if we flip the switch
Yeah.
and we change to 72%? That's going to make those others say, oh, wait a minute. We got to go in here. We've got to make sure that District
Yeah.
2 gets this. And
Yeah.
that's what I think, um, I'm not having that empathy for people who say, well, I got this to take.
Yeah.
No, these
Yeah.
people are making the decision, which is keeping you in that spot
Yeah.
of your poverty
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
waiting for their handout. So
Yeah.
I think, you do a lot in voters elections, such as trying to get the vote out, getting people to register. And my thing is, we can get all of them registered, but it's getting to the
Then
polls.
poll.
But
Yeah.
what you've
Registered voters.
done lately, though, is we're saying, hey, here, fill out this card. They'll mail your ballot to you. Not
Yeah.
only when they mail your ballot to you, we'll come and pick it
We'll,
up for
we'll
you
pick it
because
up and
you
take
can
it to the
do it
post
and
office.
we'll drop it off.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I have this problem is we do a lot when I say we, organizations like your program, um, the
Black
name,
Votes Matter.
okay, Black Votes Matter, is that we get them registered, but I feel like we're dropping the ball along the way.
Yeah,
Is why don't when we get them registered, we need to have our committees. There's a committee to follow up.
yeah,
Did you get your vote? I
yeah.
mean, did you get your ballot? And if they say yes, okay, we will be by on, it's not when we will be by on this day and to do it. I
Uh,
think there would be such a rude awakening here in Omaha in the city elections for city council. And that's what we're referring to is the city council and the mayor.
yeah, there's a
If we
name.
would do that,
We would have better success.
we would
And there's
have more
a name.
success.
There's a name for that scenario,
Hmm.
and it's we've lost our leverage. That's the
Yes.
leverage we have. Our collective voting power is our leverage, and it's a lot more powerful than we're exercising. It's just that simple. I have tried to be the messenger you talked about in so many ways, uh, and I think it took me years to have the courage to
Hmm.
tell my community, get off your hiney,
Exactly.
get your little hiney to the polls, and quit trying to pat ourselves on the back or give an excuse for some of the things we're not doing correctly.
Blame somebody else.
But yeah, blame the blame game. And so I'm gotten old enough now, Cheryl. Well, I'm letting them have it, and letting them have the truth. And it not only is in voting, we need to be self-policing our families on some of the things that are going on in our community as it relates to crime. It also is rooted in poverty, but there's a point where we got to hold ourselves accountable. You go to the education system, and we've got this high degree of absenteeism in our
Hmm.
community and non-involvement in parent participation. We don't want to talk about that, but we've got to start laying it down. And since I'm the old man, y'all can bury me right after I get through. But I'm tired of messing. I'm tired of playing with all of that. But with all that said, uh, we in those numbers we're up 15-20% less uh, participating than the rest of the community. That's something we
It's
need to.
unacceptable. And
Unacceptable,
and
unacceptable.
what you're saying is, and I've taken some flack, but that doesn't really bother me, is that I've been told, well, we shouldn't laundry our dirty laundry in public. Well, then you quit talking to me about it. Don't
Yeah, yeah,
tell me your problems
yeah,
if you don't want to have it because they already know it. And they're using that against you to
yeah.
keep
And when
you
they
in the
say,
position.
yeah,
We
Cheryl,
need to call people out and call
yes,
out.
we do, and
Look,
I'm on that. I'm on that thing,
yeah,
and
I'm past it.
if we get around to some of the other things we can talk about, I'm doing it right now on some other issue. But on this one, and the other thing about that statement is we are. What does you mean by uh, dirty language in public? When we have a community meeting, we
Yeah.
talking about family. We ain't talking about public. And so, and then the other thing is what you scared that ain't making no sense no more. In
Well,
other
yeah,
words,
and it keeps on being, like I said, it's if you want to talk, we talk among ourselves, meet among ourselves. But
yeah,
then when it comes out, you won't get out because so and so over here. I'm through with that. Well, I want
yeah,
to move on to another
sure,
point
sure.
is what do you think? And here I am going to go a lot into District 2 because what do you think the qualities should be in a candidate that we should be looking for? And the reason why I want to point this out, right now, 10 individuals, and I'm going to drop that down to eight because two have dropped out. But eight individuals are going to be running for the city council to represent District 2. What should we, instead of, oh yeah, I know John, I know George, I know Susie, oh yeah, good person, all that. What should we be asking, looking for in qualities in that individual? what are they going to do is, that old song, what are you doing for me? And
Yeah,
what have you done for me lately?
yeah.
What do you think we should be
Well,
looking at?
I do think that's the first thing about this issue. Uh, it's not just another election and another list of people on the firing line, and one of them gets elected. That's not how we ought to look at it in the first place.
Hmm.
And then the other thing, and I'm going to answer your question, is we have to understand what the one city council position is, just to position against the other council people and the mayor. All of that has to do with the person we elect has to be able to navigate
Hmm.
through that fire. Let's just remind people, Cheryl, how many council members are there? There's seven.
Right.
And so, in order to get things done, you have to be able to count to four.
Hmm.
So you have to be able to. So one quality, forget about the people yet. One quality is, can you work and lead other people? So you got six people to deal with. Can
Hmm.
you work with the six? And can you work with, uh, even though it's a nonpartisan elect, can you work with the other Democrats
Hmm.
or like-minded people that is in the council? Right now, that number could be three or four, so we should be able to work with them. But often you have to work with the other members, uh, quid pro quo or whatever, because it takes four votes in order to do something proactive. But
Hmm.
if the mayor acts up and does
Right.
something horrible, it takes five votes to veto her
The
insanity.
veto. Right.
And if
Right.
you can't work with other council members uh, in those cases, you're a detriment to our community. That's one
Correct.
quality, is your ability. The other is to see the bigger scope of the job, in that what's happening in our community. What are the things that are important? I'm listening to some of the candidates saying what why they're running, and it
Hmm.
sounds like a textbook answer. I'm running
It's
for
the
this. Yeah.
template for
Yes, a
District 2,
template. That's
you know.
exactly what it is. I'm glad. Let me write that down. But I don't want to hear the template.
I
I want
don't.
to hear about the real,
Yeah.
that this community is got challenges uh, in many areas. They're not generic. They're very specific.
Hmm.
So acknowledge those, number one. Number two is we're about to embark upon a new thing in our community, at least new for the last 50 years. We have not had any economic development or investment in the community. We
Hmm.
have a small amount now that could be ratcheted up to some good stuff down the road. But whoever becomes a council person is going to have to fight like hell, if I may say so, to get our fair share and keep what we've got so far. We had millions of dollars designated for our area, and
Hmm.
before we knew it, the city pulled off some of that money. Creighton pulled off some of that money,
Right.
and some shenanigans uh, pulled off some of that money. And so we've got to have strong folks coming out of the city council saying ho 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 and no no no. So I guess I could put it like we've got to have a fighter and a visionary at the same time on that. So uh,
I
and
think you really summed it up. Is like you said, is we ha one big factor we need to have someone and look, are they going to be able to work together with others? Because you can't, you're one vote, and
yeah,
that's the reason why our one vote is so important, is to make sure that we vote, because we only get that one. And is that one going to be able to be, is that one going to be knowledgeable about what's happening in the city? I have done research and I found out, you know what, Preston, there's very little that comes forth in the city before the city council and everything that isn't public knowledge. Why do we not know it until it goes before the city council?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
too late then.
The community needs to know it.
Yeah,
And sometimes our councilmen don't know it. But even if they did know it, the community needs to know it
to know
so
it.
they can come
That's
down
my
and
point
support you.
is,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. And I was sent a flyer, and it was talking about the upcoming state of North Omaha
Yeah.
2025. And I'm like, you've been doing this for 18 years, the same thing. And every time it's the same almost wording. So that's the reason why I said it's a template and they just change a little dates in. It hasn't changed. You said 50 years. You're right. It has not changed. What is going to change? So that's the reason why I think it's so important. And I agree with you is we need to have somebody who's knowledgeable, and willing to do the work for the community, to
Yeah.
involve the community,
Yeah.
and to be able to get things done for. And when money comes in, I mean, it's almost like a laughing joke. And it's been that way since I can remember when we got our first city council person is, the money comes from North Omaha, but it's such a trickle down that this does no good. And that, as they said, someone told me this, and for the first time I heard, I'm like, oh, that doesn't. But then when I thought about it, and you've probably done, you cannot have a progressive ghetto, people. And so if you cannot have a progressive ghetto, they want you to stay in this because you stay in the situation that we are, we
Yeah.
will always get money coming in.
Yeah. And
And if we have no one there to fight for it,
yeah.
we're not going to get it.
And that's why I want to show you right this spot of my hair. Uh, and the reason I want to show you is don't we got too many people patting some of our people on the head and they're bald right there because I want you to see my hair, but I do also want to add to their list there is we cannot consciously vote for someone who is liable to be a puppet
Yes,
for outside interests.
correct. That is so important. One thing I want to get back to and make sure is people, we want to educate you. We want to get you registered. We're going to get you vote, but we need you to vote in the primary because for whomever we want, those first two are it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I can remember people saying, "Well, I voted. I thought that no, you don't. If you don't vote in the primary, your person will not be there in
Yeah,
the
your
general."
person is
So
gonna get hurt, whoever
yeah.
you want. Yeah.
And they're
And
counting on a low participation. That's the reason why I said if we would get a high participation, not only would it shock our community, but it will shock the powers of be because then they know that they have someone there or that they're going to have to
and that
deal with.
this community is serious about
Yes.
what we're talking about. The
So let me ask you, Preston, what is your organization doing for upcoming election events?
Very good question. I'm glad you asked. And I want to ask you a question quickly. When you send out your kind of notices
Hmm.
about the programs and stuff, do you add flyers to them?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I have two flowers I'm going to send you, but I'm
Okay.
going to talk about answer your question with the two things
Okay.
that are the first thing we're doing is February 15th at the venue starting at 10. I'll send you the flyer. But basically, what we're going to do there is directly related to this conversation. My attempt is to, okay, let's talk about 24, put 24 to bed. Uh, and yeah, we've had our chance to put our head down and say, woe is me. But now we need to straighten up, get ready to fight the fights in our own state and city and community uh, right here and
Hmm.
leave Trump and all that mess alone. We can't have a direct effect on it, but we can have a direct effect on what's happening here. So uh, we need to get over it. We need to then unify and collaborate and fight like heck for stuff we feel uh, strongly against or for. And I can name a few things. And then lastly, talk a little bit about our economic development things going on. But so that's the first thing. Trying to educate is what you said earlier. The community needs to be educated. And we don't, when we have these meetings, I may have 100, 120, and there's 30,000. But if those 120 go out like they do in many cases
Hmm.
and talk, more people get educated. So the first thing is February 15th,
Okay.
and we'll have a flyer to support that. I have it. I should have sent it to you earlier. But the second thing, very important, and it's not Preston Love. Uh, it is a brought together a small group because it could be 40 groups really, but
Mm-hmm.
a small group of community organizations which are really non they're not favor they don't favor anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So are my organization, uh, Black Votes Matter. There is the NAACP. There is the IMA, which is the International Ministerial Alliance, which is made up of different kind of jurisdictions.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the NCNW, which is the National Council of Negro Women, and I may have left one out, but that group is bringing is kind of hosting, if you will,
Okay.
that it will be facilitated by Vita Jeffrey, who will facilitate that meeting. We're also leaving lots of space for people to kind of town hall talk,
Okay.
say things. So that's the first thing we're trying to do to help. And guess what? Uh, we're going to feed them because we're going to have them there. So, uh, and we got to pay for the room and all that. That's what I'm doing because that's coming out in effect out of my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I don't, and with no, I don't have an agenda other
Okay.
than the community needs to be educated. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing, it really falls partly under education, is March 8th.
Okay.
Again, I'm pulling together a number of organizations to do this, uh, led by Black Votes Matter, but not me, not let me, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But we we're going to hold in North Omaha at Metropolitan Community College a forum for both
Mm-hmm.
the mayoral candidates and our city council candidate.
Okay.
The same day, we'll do one first for a couple hours, if you want to call it that, have a break, have some refreshment, and do the others.
Okay.
And Terry Sanders is going to be the facilitator. We will have a panel. I'd love to have you as one of the panelists who will actually ask. Yeah, I'd say that again. I'd love to have you as one of the panelists who will
I
then
got it.
ask uh,
Click.
who would ask questions to to the candidate, uh, and then of their own,
Uh-huh.
but also then field questions from the audience through uh, index cards. So
Okay.
those are the two big things. I think
Okay.
we're serving a purpose if we do that. Now, those flyers are done, and we've been talking to most uh, of the uh, District 2 candidates by email and said,
Mm-hmm.
come on, we want you there so that they can be recognized and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. They don't have a chance to talk. It takes too long. But then they have a big chance to show their wares to our community in our community. Well,
Okay.
we get some of these forums that are none of our they ain't worth talking about stuff we want to talk about.
Okay. Well, I wanted to move on to another topic that you have been in the news regarding the Nebraska Commission on American Affairs. And you put in a commentary, and sometimes I'm good at this, and sometimes I'm not. So I'm gonna
You
see.
get ready to share.
I'm gonna try. Okay. I'm gonna try hard. We'll see if it pops up. All righty, there we go. Um, your statement. It has come to my attention that the Nebraska Commission on African American Affairs has the audacity to put its current executive director, Simone Smith, on an administrative leave. The African American Commission, in my estimation, is a dysfunctional since its original inception in 2020. It is not managed. It has not managed the African American affairs in any sensible or structural way. And you went on to say, recently, one bright light is they hired a competent black female, Simone Smith, to get the commission on the right track. Since her inception, there has been a toxic environment as it related to the commission getting behind her leadership and her attempt to develop a strong and responsible organization. This attempt to damage her efforts has come to this juncture. You went on to say that you challenged the governor and the accountability of other members of the commission to halt further action or eliminate the commission altogether because it is not doing anything worthwhile related to the Nebraska African American community anyway. You, this young lady, who it definitely sounds like she's very gifted and talented, Howard Law School graduate. Sometimes that's the problem because we have too much of that friction in between, jealousy is basically what my grandmother would say. I'm asking through this release for the governor to issue a cease and desist in the attempt to fire Miss Smith. But I will be satisfied that if she has to leave, then all of the other members of the commission to be let go as well. What would, at first, when I first read it, I was like, yes, because I've been saying the same thing. You have 2 or 3 members on that and have been on there for the entire time since 2020 and have done nothing but, as you know, we like to say in our drama. They have been the drama queens and king of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So when I see this, it's been saying something, Preston, that I wholeheartedly agree with is that in this amount of time, I don't want to see the money go back. So if they are so persistent that they want her to leave, I feel like all of those that have been there since 2020 need to leave, and he needs to clear that. And when he makes a new appointment, get some community involvement in suggestions as appointments and not from the same old people who, like you pointed to before, patting on the head.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy, you said it well. I'm gonna have you as a guest on my show. But because you said it well, and let me just give a couple little
Yeah.
details on what we were just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when did they start? 2020. Do you know they don't have bylaws? They
Mm-hmm.
started in 2020. Do you know they don't have a strategic plan? Yeah, they started in 2020. They have a constant, I think, 3 or 4 turnovers in the executive director job. Mr. Carter was one of the most recent. It was a
Mm-hmm.
crying shame how that all thing was had. We had a mass resignation a few years ago because they just were fed up with it.
Because they were tired of the drama.
They
Mm-hmm.
were tired of the drama, and so it's more of the same. And so we, I am for the idea of a functioning, vibrant, and
Mm-hmm.
important African American Commission on our affairs. But I say if we don't have anything better than what we have, having none is the same thing as having it. And so
Exactly.
I'm trying. I must admit that I was being dramatic, but I mean it. That if we're not, let's get it fixed. And if we're not going to get it fixed, let's get it. Now, your point is that what somebody might do is hurry up and follow my lead because they didn't want it in the first place. And so I'm giving them a route to not only dismiss it and take the funds back. And so I take that risk. So that's the old man in me. I'll take the risk, but the community would take a hit if that would happen. I think that there's enough people on that commission who are worth really keeping and want
Mm-hmm.
really for its original object that they'll be able to salvage and put it back together once we do get away from the drama. I am going to let a little time go by in respect to the governor who gave his state of the Nebraska thing, not to say, how come you didn't call me back when I called you on this issue the day before your trip? So, in other words, I'm going to give him that. But today is Thursday. tomorrow, first thing in the morning, if I haven't heard from him, I'm going to call him and say, what you going to do? And we're getting ready to rise up. We ain't taking it. We ain't taking no parts of it. We don't want no uh, uh, for show on paper that there is such a thing as an African American affair. We don't want the drama, and we surely don't want you all just manipulating our good, gifted young people. And so we're not going to stand for it. So it's you, Governor, who has to, you can send him this tape. It's you, Governor, that has to stand up and say, here's what we should do to get this going.
I wholeheartedly agree, but here again, this is one of those times where I feel like we need to take and call it out as to who it is, what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm all
Well,
for that. Is that I, because Preston, and I know, because we've both been around here long enough, all this is doing is giving him more ammunition to pull the funds because you know what? In his state, what did he say? We are a $420 million shortage. Well, it isn't a whole lot, but hey, three or $400,000 that we put over here that has not been used in 5 years,
yeah.
they're not
Yeah,
doing
they're not
snatch
happy
it.
with it. They ain't doing nothing anyway. Let's just go in and take that off the budget
E-
thing. And then we're
Exactly.
gonna stand up all over again to get it back. But
Right.
right now, because I really understand, it's a slippery slope to put
Mhm.
ourselves that I put us in that I'm not a betting man, but I'm hoping that
Mhm.
sometimes you just gotta uh, throw a rock somewhere and you hope you don't break your own window. But yes,
Well, I'm at the point, as I said, when I saw that, and I said to myself, is if you're going to talk about it, either do something or shut up.
yeah,
I am going to put myself on the line and say, look, these individuals have been on there and that have completed
yeah,
nothing
yeah,
and call them out because we
yeah,
all know, I know who they are. There
yes,
are five individuals I feel that really want to work, or four that I
yes,
feel like really, really want to
absolutely,
work and make it happen.
yes,
Let's remove those others from this executive board and let this drama cease and let it go forth for this community.
yes.
So I not
And
want
may I just add this to
to.
the report? And I will send you this also. There is a meeting, uh, commission meeting on the 22nd.
Mhm.
Uh, and the whereabouts and the time I can send you.
Lincoln. It's in Lincoln from 9 to 4,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. And anybody that wants to should show up. And I'm going to insist that media show up because guess what they did? They cleared the agenda so they could fire her only.
Hmm. And we need, to put, and there's another point that I make is much of this happens in Omaha. Those meetings should alternate either in Lincoln one quarter, Omaha the next quarter, Lincoln, Omaha, or
Oh,
all be
well,
in
maybe
Omaha.
I got
But
a
they should
mistake.
not all be in Lincoln for a day.
Maybe I got a mistake because this is not the Nebraska uh, African American
But
Commission at Lincoln.
they hold it in Lincoln.
No,
I
I meant,
got you.
yeah,
Hmm.
you got my point. Yeah,
I got your point, and that's
yeah,
the reason why I said,
yeah.
Well, I
And
want to move on to one more thing before our
okay.
time's over is um, public and private housing. And I'm sure you are aware of the one that is the big thing right now is City View. But
Mm, mm.
you were also involved in the OHA situation with the bed bugs. And we are finally now through the class action suit. And maybe if you wanted to give your opinion on it, or because you were also instrumental in helping to try to get, what should I say, some of that aired out and try to find a workable
Bad use
solution.
of
It
bad
didn't
use of
work,
words.
but
Bad
you
use of
tried.
words. Airing it out over there. But
So, do
yes, go
you
ahead. I'm
have
sorry.
any comment you would like to make on that, or?
Yes, I do. Uh, uh, as you say, I'm in the public eye.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to be a big shot. I'm in the public eye. When you're in the public eye, you receive more inquiries,
Hmm.
and people bring their individual problems to us. And so that's public service. You do it, I do it. But because of that, I was brought into uh, uh, two of the buildings for sure,
Hmm.
OHA towers buildings, not City View, but OHA
Hmm.
Tower, but by residents who wanted me to see how bad their situation was. And as a result, I became activated immediately, uh, mentally, and trying to be on their behalf. You and I and others brought others into it.
Hmm.
Some more experts on rodents and other things than we, and environmental impact. We brought we What we did is we brought folks in. One of them got put out the building
Yeah.
because uh, literally, I'm talking about put out with police.
Yes.
I think was he arrested?
No,
But
he was signed, he was ticketed, and he
yeah,
went to, and the judge
yeah.
threw it out because
But
OHA
but
didn't
what we
comply.
saw was horrible.
Hmm.
I'm not talking about something we heard. We saw gaping holes in the wall, un of the airflows were uh, put in the position where people really weren't getting fresh air into
Hmm.
their place. And some of them had, because they wasn't getting fresh air, they took the grates down. Then that caused a whole nother problem.
Yeah.
We uh, what do you call it, molding around
Hmm.
places, and we had absolutely bed bugs,
Bed
absolutely.
bugs galore. Yep.
And so we objected, and we called a meeting, you and I, and we met with the uh, head of and they gave us the biggest song and dance nonsense that I've ever seen. We were looking at it and all, the standard stuff. And so uh, I apologetically walked away because I had a campaign to run,
Hmm.
but you and many others stayed with it, and now we're at it. So my comments on it is they the right thing to do is hold OHA and all the federal bureaucracy responsible for those people's lives. We're not talking about issues. We're talking about people's lives, and in some cases, respiratory lives. Uh,
Hmm.
so, and then this new thing with City View, I believe every minute of it, and I haven't been there because because we saw it where we saw it. And so we've got to support them
Right.
in that effort.
And City View, and I will send you the video that was done today. It was unbelievable that human beings, people
Have
who
to
could
be.
not defend for themselves are being forced to live in such situations, and someone landlord down in Florida is raking in the funds. And when you see this, I know you will be highly disturbed because I was just, it's unbelievable. But it was a live uh show today with Sherman Wells, Robert Wagner, and a couple other people, Clarice Dombach from Redress Movement. But they were there and they shot it, and we're going to be sending it out today. So far, there were like 8,000 views have already hit it from his victim. But when you see feces and urine on the walls, blood on the walls, needles and things like that, um, it is unbelievable. How can we help people who cannot help themselves? What do those who have an opportunity, um, to be able to take and go, what can we do to come together, do you think can help people
Well,
who are in this situation?
I think one of the things we can do is what we've done, which is just bring the world to the problem.
Okay.
Bring media. It's not us. It's really us just being credible with the media so they come see what we're talking about. And then that shows light on it. And then in a funny kind of way, then other people become the help. It's not us personally, but but we can, that's facilitate.
Hmm.
It's so much important. The thing that what I sound like y'all did today, that's going to go a long ways
Oh,
in
definitely.
the solution because uh, it's like catching lynching on camera and getting a picture of the faces. It
Yeah.
happened. Here it is. So I'm trying to, one of the big things, and I hate to go all the way back, but one of the big reasons why we end up with a Voting Rights Act is because they had TV cameras on John Lewis when they beat him up on the bridge.
Yeah.
If they weren't TV cameras weren't there, well, that beating up stuff was happening all the time.
Has
But
been, and you know what? Still happening
it's
right
still
now.
happening, still
It is.
happening.
It
Uh,
is.
I didn't set up in my chair. You got me riled up. But so that's one thing. The other thing, Cheryl,
Hmm.
is maybe I need to have one of those come to my meeting on 15th and just give us a quick briefing. Would you reach out to one of Sherman or and just
Sure. Sure.
yeah, and they can come and just give what we're doing is briefing other folks.
Hmm.
Because you know what? Uh, Let me beat myself on the chest and then lose my breath because I did. And that is, I write an editorial for the
Hmm.
Omaha World Herald. Guess what? We don't read the edit. We don't even read the World Herald, let alone my editorial. So, so
You
uh,
know, and we're not, you and I understand we're not laughing because it's funny. It's actually kind of
yeah,
sad, but
yeah.
it is what it is.
But
And
my point
yeah,
is
mhm,
sometimes that's how our community has to get the news face to face at some of these meetings. That's my point. We
right.
can't depend on them watching the nightly
No,
news
because they're
or
not
reading
going
the
to do
nightly paper.
that.
So,
And,
okay. So
and I
if
think
you
that
could,
I agree with you on that is we need to do as Malcolm X says, by any means necessary. So we need it here, we need to do it over there.
yes, we do.
And
So
as
if
I
you do
said,
me a
this
favor,
video, we do intend to send it out to everyone. And as I said, I have it ready
how
to
long it's going to be? Have any idea? They haven't
today.
edited it yet.
Yeah, it'll be tonight. It'll be
Yeah.
sometime tonight. It will be, and everybody should have it in their inbox because
Okay.
it will go out with mine. Um, because I
Okay.
think it's so important. I could not believe, and one of the issues, which goes back to what we first started talking about, this is a perfect example why we need to be involved in voting. We can make a difference from our city council. There is no way when the mayor said, well, I can't act upon rumors. My comment to her in this video clearly, and it's on there, so I'm not, going to back up on it. But one of the things that was said was, I can't act up on rumors. So I said, well, Mayor, this is supportive of the rumors. So we will see what her comment is. Getting back to people, you have a voting right, which is power because it's for the local, it's for your city council and your mayor. Whoever is the city council person, do you want to vote for them again to be and live in such standards? And I did have a conversation because Tuesday's meeting, um, Joni who was is the executive
Oh,
director or the director for CEO, that's what it is, CEO for OHA. They have been proactive in this situation when it was brought to their attention. They said they do have 35 to 37 voucher tenants in it, but they are taking action. They have inspected the common area. They are bringing all of their inspectors in on this Saturday to do inspections of each unit. And if those units do not meet the requirements and standards for the Omaha Housing Authority, they will um, offer each one of them a moving packet that will give them, they will be able to retain their voucher and move. And so what we're going to do, and
so they can
I
clean
guess
the
I'm using
build,
this is to
get the
find
building.
people to help.
Yeah. So
So
say
they're
that
going to
again.
have that. We are going to committee here. We're going to try to get people out there. Say, hey, these individuals need housing.
Okay.
Will you accept the voucher, or organizations? Because North Omaha has over the largest amount of nonprofit organizations. Let's put them out there.
Yeah.
Say, hey, are you going to take and
Yeah.
help
Okay.
these individuals to
Yeah.
keep from
But you,
living in an area?
yeah.
So we will be
So
doing that. But if I believe in giving credit to when people are due credit, give credit to them.
yeah.
Is because they are being more proactive in this situation, maybe than they were with our bed bugs, but at least they're being active. And I want people to know when they see this is there is
So
hope and there's help coming.
if you could talk with
Mhm.
Sherman, and you all can just select someone to come over to my meeting uh, on the 15th and brief us.
We will do that. So make
Okay.
sure you get that
I
flyer to
will.
me.
I'll be looking for it.
And I thank you very
Oh,
much.
the flyer. I will give you,
hmm
send
So
that
we can
soon.
know the 15th. And then also, is there anything you'd like to, we're going to close it out. Anything you'd like to say?
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Cheryl. I'm a little upset with you that I'm not on every week.
I can't deal with you that much.
But
Don't
uh,
don't let this roll.
yeah, it's we need every channel
hmm
uh, that we have to communicate to our community. Some don't like Cheryl, so they watch something else.
Yeah.
But some watch something else, so don't watch something else because they watch you. And if we do our job, we can get out there, if you will, and make sure people are up to date on this stuff because
Yes.
they're not watching the news. And by the way, most of this stuff is not on the news.
No,
And all of
not
that.
for us.
So
No.
I want to say thank you for having me, but thank you for what you're doing. I really uh, like your style because you're not just a talker. You do the research and you put it out there, and you ain't scared. So,
It's
uh,
hard.
so you're not scared. So I do have one quick announcement on the way
Okay.
out, and that is more information coming, but we're going to be opening up a North Omaha Visitor Center,
Okay.
and it's going to be I don't know what street that is, but it's right next to Skeets.
Oh
That
yeah.
large used to
Yeah.
be the pantry for Salem.
hmm
Uh, we're going to be opening up that building. We're going to be doing tours and uh, talking to people about the culture and the history of North Omaha in a great way. And that will bring money to the community because when we do tours, guess what they want to do? They want to go somewhere to eat. So we take them to Big Mamas, but we take
hmm
them to Jackson's. We take them. We don't have a lot of places yet where we can take them, but they do very well. They also want to buy this and that. We take them down to both of our retail clothing stores or
hmm
floors and styles of evolution. You'd be surprised how much money they spend in our community. So we're getting ready to ratchet that up
That'd be
to
great.
big numbers.
Well,
You'll hear
keep me
more about it.
posted on that, and we'll definitely get it out there. Thank
We're
you
good.
so much, Preston. We'll be talking.
All
Have a
right.
good one.
Okay. Bye.